Hello, everyone. I'm Marla Rose, and I'm here with the Vegan Stew, which will be starting very shortly. Tonight, we are going to be talking about veganism and inclusiveness, or I guess how to make veganism more inclusive without losing the vegan message. Tonight, we are sponsored by TerraSeed, TerraSeed, TerraSeed.com, which you can see on that little thing below my face. And anyway, we're really looking forward to talking to everyone tonight, and would delight in your feedback. So I'm going to bring in the others. We are here, by the way, 3 weeks a month, just missing the first of every month. So let me see. Hi, first to Sangeeta. She is with Tilted Planet. And I don't, oh, there they are. Okay. Sorry. And here is Helene. Helene is here with Triangle Veg Fest. And oh, it's written on your thing, Veg Fest Expos. My apologies to anyone watching. I'm just getting it together. And we are adding Laura. Laura's here with Amp Howard Studios. And last but not least, we are bringing in Kimberly Winters with Did You Bring the Hummus? And if you're here, you have undoubtedly brought hummus somewhere in your life, right? It was always the thing at vegan potlucks back in the pre-COVID days. There would always be someone who would bring, like, people would bring all kinds of stuff, and someone would bring like 5 pounds of hummus. So somebody will have brought the hummus. But anyway, really happy to have everyone here. Some reason I think Helene is a little punch drunk from all of the Veg Fest, so she's laughing at everything you say. Helene, where have you been lately? Where have you been lately?
That's a good question. Asheville, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, and now I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
So you're having Veg Fest all over. You're like a musician, and when you end up in a new city, you have no idea where you are, and people have to tell you from the audience. So,
I need to know what day of the week it is. That's like my most important thing, is I don't necessarily know what day of the week it is.
No.
But just to clarify, we're every Wednesday, so for the first Wednesday of the month, it's 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. Okay. So just to make sure everyone knows where to find us, and also make sure everyone subscribes to our YouTube channel.
Right? We are on YouTube. Yes, we're on YouTube. You can find all of our various platforms on theveganstew.com. And we are here to talk about all things vegan and vegan related. So speaking of, I was thinking that this would be a good news item for the week. Is this was published in a New Zealand rural community outlet, but that milk consumption per capita in the UK is down nearly 50%. This is not cheese, but liquid milk. It has gone from 140 liters per year to about 70. And so that's a significant drop. The US has also seen a drop, not quite as steep, but it's really awesome and very good news for the animals. Eventually, this is all gonna filter into everything. So yes, we're really happy about that, and we just have to keep promoting. You know, it's like I'm so taken aback these days when I see actual dairy milk in someone's cart. I'm like, what is that? Like, I'm so not used to seeing it. And like, I don't know about the grocery stores near you, but near me, it seems like at least half of it is non-dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Even the other day, I bought a banana milk.
Yeah. How was that?
How was it?
So good. Oh my gosh. Smoothies on cereal. It is my jam.
Oh,
I am sold on it.
I bet that would be great in a smoothie, right?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. I'm still waiting for that potato milk to make its way on the boat from the
You're
UK.
still pushing for the potato milk.
I'm still pushing for it. I'm doing a live taste test right here.
Well, I mean,
So
you can make milk out of practically anything, right?
It's true.
it is
It is true.
still gross. Still gross. Just thinking about it. And
Yes.
the best one, the coolest, well, I don't know if it's the coolest thing, the plant-based milk industry, one of the reasons why everyone's getting into it, all the manufacturers are getting into it, is because it's making them money. Because they don't do it out of the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they're people, like if the UK is reduced their milk consumption by 50%, well, that means where are these milk producers of, where are they going to put their money? They're going to put it into plant-based milk, because that's where they'll make more. So keep buying, keep being consumers, because the more you spend your money, the more you actually will make a difference with us having even more vegan plant-based options.
What is still a very lucrative part of the market is dairy cheese. But as vegan cheese is improving, and it really like we don't need to talk about what it was like before those scary old days, but as it's improving and there's no sacrifice with taste buds at all. More and more people are going to be replacing dairy cheese. It's just it is a slow process, right? But dairy is one of the cruelest industries. I mean, they all are horrifically cruel. It's hard to even quantify what's worse, but
exactly.
Anyway, I'm glad about that.
Yes.
And like Laura, you were saying you had some interesting
yes, I want to bring the weird vegan alternatives to the table today. So doing some research, I found 3 really bizarre new meat alternatives that, in my opinion, don't need to be made into alternatives. So the first one is a vegan haggis. Not quite sure anybody would, especially if you're vegan. I mean, I don't know what's desirable about, sheep stomach. I never did. But I thought that was weird and interesting. The next one is roast duck in a can.
I saw that.
Yes.
I saw.
But is that kind of more of an Asian product? Because I know like mock duck is.
Yes, it is. So it says it has the taste and texture of the real thing, and it's made with vital wheat gluten. But I think it's very bizarre. Just very bizarre.
But that's like Peking duck. Like what you sent was like it said it was Peking duck. So as a kid, we used to go get Peking duck at the Asian restaurant, and with the pancakes and the hoisin sauce and the whole thing, and carve it at the table. And like I can see where there would be desire for that texture and flavor. To have that again vegan, I think would be amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting they tried to do it. I mean, that's very Christmas story of you, Helene.
I don't think I want them carving it in front of me though. Yeah. But just put it on the table and I'll make my own.
Exactly. And last but absolutely not least, here's the third weird one: a vegan spam.
Yes.
Again,
because isn't Hormel is getting into meat replacements? Yeah,
exactly. So I thought that was interesting. They're partnering with Better Meat Co. and using their fermentation technologies to make a vegan spam. And again, I didn't think it was that good to begin with. I've never tried it, obviously, but from what I've heard, it hasn't had great reviews. So I don't see it in any of the Michelin restaurants, but I thought those were all quite weird and hilarious and interesting.
It is a common ingredient in a lot of Asian foods also, so that's, I mean,
it's a huge Midwest thing. I mean, everybody in Michigan growing up was like spam on bread, fried spam, spam and eggs. It was a thing that I never really understood, but to each their own.
I've never had spam, but my issue with the spam thing, it's not the Hormel part, but the Better Meat, what is it called? The vegan company.
Yeah.
I don't like their products.
Yeah.
So, what's the name of the company?
Yeah, you're right. I don't think I've ever tried it. I was going to try their meatballs or something like that. I never did. It didn't get great reviews, so I just didn't try to test it.
What product was this?
It's Better Meat Co.
Yeah,
I got something.
Better Meat Co.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the ground, like the ground meat looking thing,
Yes.
and I just it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that publicly like this, but
Yeah.
there's better options. But then different strokes, different folks as to what they like.
There they go as our sponsors,
Like-
Helene.
There they go. Hormel and Better Meat
I did have
Co.
an
I'll go
excellent,
with Follow Your Heart and all the other ones.
right. I love Follow Your Heart, and they're such good people. I had have you guys ever had Jack and Annie's products? Jack and
No.
Annie's is called. I think it's new, but it's owned by the Jackfruit Company. It's called the Jackfruit, but they are making
Original.
sausages and things out of jackfruit. And I had sausages last week. They were absolutely delicious. So
Oh, your hot dog post. That looks
Yes.
so good. The Chicago dog. Yes.
I know. I've been
Yes.
dying for one. It's got like a casing on it. It's really good.
Wow. Yeah, that looked impressive.
Yeah,
That looks really, and out of jackfruit too. I mean,
I
that's what I
know.
love is to kind of see these whole food alternatives that
Yeah.
still, more assimilate,
Yeah.
what we're used to with the processed alternative meats. I love to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really decent ingredients and tasted good, so that matters. So,
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So where do you find them, Marla? Are they at Whole
it's,
Foods? Or?
So on, I think it's jackandannies.com. They have a store locator, but I found it at Whole Foods with the tofu. So it's not frozen. Maybe they have some products that are frozen. It's refrigerated. So
I love it. I'm gonna look it up.
Sprouts has it. If you have a Sprouts locally, Sprouts carries it.
Oh, good. I'd rather
Right.
support them than Jeff Bezos.
You guys saw
Sangeeta?
a few. What's that?
I think Sangeeta wanted to say something.
Well, I was going to say that as bizarre as all these things sound, starting with like banana milk, it is a good sign because it's like ex carnis. They miss something that they used to like before, and then they are coming up with the vegan version of that. So I think it indicates like the spread of the movement, like veganism.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's definitely a good sign showing the trajectory, and it just keeps going up. But it's interesting to see all the things you're like, oh, people want this vegan,
Right.
It's cool,
exactly.
but it's,
Exactly.
Miyoko's is going to be coming out with cottage cheese, which I don't have any, I didn't miss it or anything like that. But there are a lot of people who are like, oh my God, I haven't had cottage cheese in forever. And of course, when Miyoko makes it, it's going to be amazing. So I will probably try it at least once.
I absolutely will.
I would remember, like, it's associated as like diet food, right? Like you get a lump. Like,
that with your grapefruit and black coffee, right?
Yep. Right. It's just to be
I'll go more Christmas story for you, Laura. I'll go more Christmas story. So my mom, growing up, grew up. She was born in 1936. Today is actually her birthday if she was still alive, and they grew up obviously 1936, Depression times, World War II times, and one of the meals that she was fed as a kid that she passed on to me was bow tie noodles with pot cheese and peas and black pepper and butter. And pot cheese is a form of cottage cheese. It's large cottage cheese.
I was like, dang, your mom was trending. She was ahead of the curve.
Yeah, all the way back then. And it was something as a vegetarian I easily made. Right, because it's hard to find pot cheese. It's hard to find large herd cottage cheese in the supermarket. So having that as an option to be able to make vegan and have it be somewhat similar to that, because a lot of people food obviously is memories. A lot of people food is emotion.
Right.
So be able to have that and be able to do that and have it be similar to that memory, because it's a very simple meal. Obviously, it's Depression, World War II type meal, and it's actually very nutritious. When made in a more healthy manner. So not loaded with butter and stuff, but with the peas and all that, it's delicious. So if Miyoko's making that, I'm super excited.
You're super on board.
On board.
Maybe
and that's why we'll try it. It's just for the memories. Growing up, my grandfather used to put grape jelly in cottage cheese. Sounds really gross, but I swear it was good from what I can remember when I was 3 years old.
all of our childhood food tastes disgusting.
Exactly.
Or sounds
Exactly.
disgusting, but very
Yes.
comforting foods, right?
Exactly.
Oh, look
I
at
have
that. Hey,
yeah.
Jay, you met me at Bill Fun Vegan Fest. Hey. Okay, sorry.
I have a friend. This is not really a vegan story, but I have a friend who grew up in a lot of their family experienced food scarcity, but their parents kind of didn't want to admit that they just didn't have a lot of money. So like once a month or something, they would have this nice. I mean, in retrospect, you can kind of laugh about it, but they would say, "Hey kids, tonight we're going to have white spaghetti," and that simply meant boiled spaghetti. So, and the kids were all supposed to be like, "Yay!" Boiled noodles. But yeah,
Hey, spaghetti. You saw what I made last night. I made spaghetti pie. You can do a lot with spaghetti.
That was cool. So what do you do with that? Do you like cut it into little pie slices and then pour the sauce on top? Is that how that works?
I think you
bake and in the middle of that, it's all made in a pan. So it's all fried in a pan. And in the middle of it is homemade vegan ricotta with spinach and spices in the middle of it.
Yes. What kind of ricotta did you use?
So
did you make your own ricotta?
I made my own from cashews. Yep.
Nice.
Because I travel with the Vitamix and an air fryer.
Show off.
Whoa.
You know you're vegan when.
There's my vegan level 1 million.
Yes, you're like platinum level vegan at this point, Helene. You win your badge officially.
That's pretty next level.
That is.
I consider it like forethought if I remember to pack a Lara bar for things like that. So that's good. So do you have like it's a small vitamin? It's like
no, it's my full size.
Oh God. My full size thing is like the size of ET. Oh my God. Okay.
Hey Laura, can we dare you to drink banana milk on the show?
Absolutely.
Potato milk.
Yes. I will just be the weird taste tester. I'll do the spam. I'll do the duck. I won't do the haggis. That's where I draw the line.
Laura needs 0 dares. Yeah.
Yes.
Laura just needs products.
It's true. Send them to me, brands, and I will taste them on air.
In Helene's vitamin,
I am writing to all the companies.
We're gonna put
I will write to all the companies. And get
banana milk spam and cottage cheese all
at the same time
in her Vitamix, in Helene's Vitamix. And
I will use the banana milk to wash all that shit down. That's what I will do.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I am someone who never throws away food. Like I will eat something less wretched, but
I think we've gone off the rails.
Great.
No, someone recently sent me a recipe for vegan duck, and it had the basic ingredients were like chickpeas and rice flour and things like that. And I was like, it is too much of a work to take like these wonderful chickpeas and rice. I would just make chana masala and be done with it. Like for 10 minutes, I have it done.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel the same. I did the same thing with vegan steaks, right? Because I've never had a steak in my whole life. So I'm like, I want to see what this is about, And so I found a vegan steak recipe, and it's lentils. Right. Lentils and vital wheat gluten. I'm like, okay, and it's seasoning. So at this point, who cares? I mean, it's so much work steaming those things for like 30 minutes, wrapping them in, foil. Like it's just so much work.
Yeah.
I'd rather just make the lentils.
Yeah. Yeah. Who has time for that?
Exactly.
So
yeah, we definitely should. We've gone off the rails.
I think we need to talk about spam a little more. We haven't
I think so.
That is going to be like my, food photo is a bowl of, cottage cheese with spam based on top. So yeah. And I'm going to be
with
working
a glass of potato milk.
Yeah, glass of potato milk. Going to be working on making a vegan what's that called? Gefilte fish recipe. I've never had gefilte fish, but it sounds perfectly disgusting. So why shouldn't we have a vegan version of that? you know.
Absolutely.
Well, you've got till Passover of next year to work on it.
I never, like, even when I had no standards about what I would eat, there was no way that was passing my lips. Anyway, let's get to our topic.
Yes.
It's believe it or not, it's not about spam and banana milk. So tonight we wanted to talk about, like, as we're discussing here, veganism is definitely growing and growing into all different corners of the world. I know, Jay. But one of the just try to get that image of gefilte fish out of your mind. I'm trying real hard here. Sorry about it. But one of the things that we want to address is, back when I first went vegan, veganism was so it was so small. There were so few of us, that we didn't think about other issues like inclusivity or, making things more accessible for different populations, or being, just basically extending, a handout to people to help them access veganism. It was just so small, and as we're growing, we do need to be thinking about how can we be as inclusive as possible to different communities. And there's different ways that you can think about inclusivity, whether it's about the common things that vegans are accused of is being this very white populations. Like, while we know that vegans of color are pioneering, many of the restaurants and recipe development and all of that, there still is that association of vegans with whiteness. So how do we as vegans be inclusive of other races? How do we be inclusive of people with different levels of affluence, and a lot of times with lack of affluence, there's lack of access, whether it's physically, you're not close to grocery stores that offer options. How do we, as a community, how are we inclusive or not inclusive of people with disabilities, for example? So there's just like lots of different ways that we can think about the inclusivity issue. How important is it as a community that we think about this? And I personally think it's very important. And then how do we approach it? And so I'd love to hear different thoughts on, ways that you have made veganism more inclusive to your, friends, coworkers, people you encounter, things that are in your mind when you think about how to draw more people in and make it easier. Because as we know, veganism is not an exclusive club. It shouldn't be. It's not a list of rules and regulations. It's a lifestyle, and it's a social justice movement. Mm-hmm. How can we bring people where they're at? So, Helene, you go first.
I don't have a utensil.
Oh man, I forgot.
It's in my home. It's at home. Yeah. So I'm gonna pull Laura here. I'm gonna say, can you just not be a dick?
Yeah.
Just the basic common courtesy of like living in this world, and not be a person who is just don't be a dick. It's really a simple thing to live by. Be inclusive and understand people are where they're at. Understand that people are on their own journey. Understand that you can plant seeds, and somebody's not going to watch forks over knives and the next day possibly go, that's it, I'm vegan today. They may go do meatless Mondays. They may do dinners that are vegan. They may remove eggs. They have their path. They have their journey, and it's not for us to be like, well, what do you mean you're still eating eggs? Right. No, the opposite. That's fantastic that you're not eating eggs anymore. It's the complete, words matter. Words matter so much, and how you say them, and the feelings that you give to that other person, especially when it comes to this movement, to this lifestyle, to this social justice part, to be as inclusive as possible And that involves you not being a dick towards another human being because they're not where you are or doing exactly what you think they should do at this moment in time.
Yeah.
I think,
And,
yeah, I'm sorry, just the basic idea of do unto others, you know, it's really not complicated. The other aspect of it is it's not about our egos. It's not about our check marks. Oh, I turned that person. I hear that all the time. I converted that person. I mean, we're not missionaries, right? But it's also not about us, you know, it's about that person's evolution. So, Kimberly, did you raise your hand or just move your hair?
Oh yeah, I swung it too low, so you probably saw the shadow as I moved my little spoon. Yeah, so you know, I kind of live by that mantra of compassion for all, and that obviously includes ourselves. So that's important to remember too, just as a message there. But I think it also means that we should be mindful of other oppressed groups and how we can be involved, and that you don't have to be fully involved in a bunch of things. Like you can, if veganism is your focus, that's okay. Because I've heard, you know, oh, you only care about the animals, or you only care about, you know, making people go vegan. Like you don't care about other oppressed groups because you're not engaged in these different activities. Right. So we can't spread ourselves too thin because then we're no use to anyone. Right. So we have to be, we should choose what we're most involved with, but at the same time, we should still continue to get more educated and start to understand how oppression is everywhere. Right. And wherever we can step in, when we have the space, you know, when we create that space, like we can step in and be involved in other groups and things like that. So yeah,
I forgot my utensils, but I have a pomegranate in front of me, so I'll raise that.
Ornament. Okay, Persephone. Here we go.
Yeah, and I agree with both Helene and Kimberly. And you know, to Helene's point, it's who are we to judge? We all started somewhere, and everybody's on their own journey. And you know, my whole thing is every meal counts. So it doesn't matter if you're fully there, if you're halfway there, if you're just starting, you know, that one meal does save a life, you know, and that's what matters. And so don't be a jerk if they haven't fully transitioned. Encourage them to do better and do more. And one of the things that I do a lot of the time too is, you know, I just tell my friends, if you need a recipe, text me. You know, if you need an alternative, let me know and I will give you probably 5 or 6. You know, and you can try all of them and then pick your favorite, you know? And so that's what I do. Or, you know, sometimes I'll just make them like a peanut chocolate butter pie and then they'll say, this is vegan, no shit. And then they'll start to like ask me for more recipes and start trying new things because everybody has this mentality that it's, you know, flaxseed cardboard. Right. And that's just not true.
Yeah, I mean, I do personally like my Spam on cardboard, but you know, I totally agree. What we should be doing is removing barriers wherever we can, and too often, vegans not among this group, and I wouldn't want to be in this group if it were that way, but they make it harder and harder. Like you know, I personally feel that adding things to the vegan list of what's vegan, what's not vegan, when you're adding things like sugar and oil as a health concern, to me, that really messes things up because you're telling someone who's radically changing how they're looking at food. You're saying, now we're going to add these other things. Yeah, they are technically vegan, but you shouldn't eat them. You know, it's not only complicating things, but it's also adding to this whole narrative of vegans being the, you know,
exactly. Well, and that's what everybody hates about, you know, the stereotypical vegan, right? Is that they're jerks. And quite frankly, I have never seen a meaner group of people than what I call militant vegans.
Right. I hear that all the time.
Yeah. It's just, it's insane because it's like, hey man, same team. You know, like really? It's totally bizarre.
Yeah,
is
and it's counterproductive a lot of times.
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
But
And I think the thing that it's it is counterproductive. It makes if you want to be in your little vegan, bubble on your little vegan island of purity where you all attack each other, that's fine. Go ahead, go live on your bubble, but don't interact with the public and don't think that you're actually making a difference for the animals. And so, Sangeeta,
Right.
what
yeah,
do
now here is the thing that a lot of people get uncomfortable just by the presence of a vegan in the room. And you're not trying to make a point, you're just being vegan. You have a right to be vegan, you have a right to choose what you eat. But the fact that you are sort of avoiding certain food that they have prepared, that can be quite insulting to them. And so you have to sort of, they when they are thrown off balance by that, because it is, think about it, like in any culture, like when somebody is making something for you, you're supposed to be grateful and graciously accept that and thank them. But here we are saying, oh, no matter what you purchase for me or made for me, I'm a vegan and I'm not going to eat it. Now, you have to stick to your guns, but also be prepared that that is going to throw them off the balance. And I learned this hard way. They're going to say things because they're confused and they don't know how to react. And at that time, like, being calm really is the best approach instead of getting offended and trying to counter argue at that point. That's I have learned it hard way, but I'm also mentally practicing, because I'm going to be in a wedding in a couple of months in my family, and so I will be surrounded by a lot of non-vegan family members, and I'm mentally preparing myself that it's going to throw some people off. Don't get offended and don't engage at that point. But
Yeah.
maybe I'll introduce them to something really nice that they didn't expect. Maybe I'll make vegan gulab jamuns, and something like that.
I have so many things to say. I have to go because I'm
Okay.
like back to what Laura said,
Well,
that
that's
Marla
why
said,
you
and
need to
what
keep
Sangeeta
paper
said.
and a pen.
But I'm not home.
Oh.
I normally have paper. So, and I'm trying to remember like all my points. So, going back to like what Laura said, there's one thing that's really important to focus on here. I don't want to pressure anyone to go vegan or plant-based, whole food plant-based, whatever it is, but I also need you to do this because we need to save the planet. So there is an urgency to get people to come to this side of the world, because there won't be one if you don't. So that's one thing that is really important. Back to what Marla said, Oreos. I'm going to use Oreos as an example because Oreos are not vegan. Sorry, everybody who's watching that's eating Oreos. They're not vegan. The sugar's not vegan in them. But a new person to veganism, eat your Oreos. I'm not going to take your Oreos away from you. As you progress in what you're willing to eat and not eat, I don't eat sugar. That's not vegan. You might when you're out. I don't. My festivals, all the sugar is vegan. It's something that I live by. But if I tell someone who's newly vegan that they can't eat Oreos, they may not be vegan anymore. So eat your Oreos. It's okay. Skittles, Oreos, all those candies that PETA says are vegan. It's because the sugar's not vegan, but that's okay. Just in your point, wherever you are, you do you, and that's what matters. To Sangeeta's point, fuck, I think I might have forgotten what my point was when I got to Sangeeta.
About going to the wedding.
There's so many. Oh yes, thank you. So communicating ahead of time before you go somewhere, to an affair, to an event, to someone's house for dinner. You can alleviate some of this pressure and uncomfortableness by saying, "Hey, I'm vegan. And for me, hey, I'm vegan. I don't eat mushrooms or beets or sprouts. I like it because the odds are that if I tell someone I'm vegan, I might end up with mushrooms, and I have to go the next step to still not eating. And you can communicate that ahead of time to make it easier for when you're there. And you should always bring food.
Yeah.
No matter what, you should just always bring food, and you should always eat your food first, because otherwise you might go hungry because everyone else is going to eat your food because it's delicious. And then you'll have nothing because they can eat everything and you can eat the thing that you brought, maybe with some salad. So that's a incredibly important thing. And I learned that lesson, Sangeeta, when I lived in California. I had a business lunch and we went for dim sum. And I think I brought this up at Virtual VetFest Live for one of my talks over the last year. We went for dim sum, and no one spoke English. And the person hosting was the business, the client of the company, and she ordered in Chinese. And I'm vegetarian. And all this food comes out and sits in front of me, and I am incredibly uncomfortable. It was within my first week working for the company. I was in late 20s, and I just sat there and didn't know what to do because I can't order.
Right.
I don't speak the language to order. I don't want to insult my new employer and the client all at one. And then it was, I don't know if the food's going to come out correctly because I'm not ordering it. Somehow I kind of communicated as vegetarian. Everyone, then all those uncomfortable questions came at me, why and this and that. And it was the most awful thing I've ever been through in my life. And from that moment forward, I said, I'm always going to communicate this before or ahead of time, because I never want to be there again.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
It's awful.
Right.
So that
Sounds
is those are my 3 points to what you said. So, okay.
I do want to say that I think that being vegan, a side benefit that you don't hear about often is that it really helps you to develop your assertiveness and comfort with speaking to your needs without feeling like you're being a jerk. Like this is just a simple fact of me. I'm vegan. I don't eat tomatoes. You don't say it like that, but it just I think you realize as you go and you get your footing in it that the world doesn't, collapse when you speak to your needs, and you can do it in a way that's friendly and welcoming without, people getting all defensive. And if you do that and someone still gets defensive and insulting, that's on them. And
That's on them.
yeah. So at a certain point, you just find peace with that. But yeah, it gets complicated in work situations with in-laws who are testy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I had a hunk of meat on my plate and I didn't eat the mushrooms next to it, no one would say a word. No one would say like, oh, what do you mean you're not eating your mushrooms? They'd be like, but I ate the meat. And they'd be like, oh, I guess they were too full to eat the mushrooms. There would never even be a concept of that. And for, you don't get to, I'm not going to eat the food you put in front of me if it's not vegan. Right. Like, I don't care. Oh, it just has a little chicken stock in it. Well, I'm not eating it. I don't care if I insult you. I don't eat that. And I know a lot of people who will bend that rule because they don't want to insult the person who cooked. But no.
I think the more we just normalize that we are
normalize.
Yeah, just normalize living in the world as a vegan, speaking to your needs, the better our experiences collectively will be. It's not
right.
the world if someone speaks to their needs. Laura, you had your pomegranate up.
Yes, I did. So what I wanted to say too about the vegan wedding and working, work dinners are very awkward. One of my favorites too is always, I tell the wait staff I'm vegan, and usually my boss will do it for me ahead of time, like at a sales conference or whatever, and they bring out a plate of fish.
Oh God.
That is always my favorite, hands down. Like, yeah, because fish isn't meat. Absolutely. No nervous system there. Let me eat that. That's always my favorite. So that happened to me once. And then instead they just bought me a sweet potato with nothing on it. Just like a boiled sweet potato. Here you go. That was one of my favorite moments. But the other side of that is a lot of the times, like at a wedding or something, if it's being catered, if I let them know ahead of time, I have the best looking meal in the house.
You do, exactly.
And what I love is 2 things that does. One, I get complimented. Oh, what is that? Why didn't I have that option? And the second one are the questions that follow. why do you have something different? Oh, you're vegan?
Hmm.
Like, I'm just curious to know, what are your favorite carnivore questions? Because one of my favorite is, how do you do that? But you don't look vegan.
Right.
That's one of my favorites because I'm not like rail thin. I look like a normal human being, believe it or not. Vegans can look normal. You know, we don't have a big V on our forehead. You know, so that's one of my favorite questions. And I just want to hear everyone else's.
Oh, but lions hunt. Lions eat deer. Lions. Yes.
Right. Like, how much else in your life do you base your ethics on how lions live?
Yes.
You know, all of a sudden it matters how.
Oh, men do go on the prowl, so maybe.
It's true.
Mine is not
my
so
God, I
much
love
a question as a statement is I could never be vegan. It's like, everyone says that. So
Everyone says that.
Everyone.
Or do
they
you have a favorite?
They go into a whole thing about how little meat that they eat.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I eat a lot of vegetables, you know, just to have some people need to feel like they can relate to you. And when you say vegan, they immediately go to, well, I don't really eat a lot. I don't know, it's probably not true.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Right. Exactly. I'm gluten free.
And that's okay. But then it's really irritating when they go on telling what do they eat that's not vegan, and I'm like, wait, I am not interested in knowing that.
I'm sorry, Laura. Did you have something you were saying?
Pomegranate.
Oh no, there was
no.
no
I'm sorry, not Laura. I meant to say Kimberly. Sorry.
No, I had a comment and then it just went right out of my head. Like I was thinking, oh yeah, there is something that I love hearing all the time.
Right.
And now it's gone. It wasn't a question though. It's
was it
like
protein?
No. Oh, I mean, we all get that one, right?
Well, you think about it. I'm going to say
yeah.
one of my least favorite things is the stereotype of, the classic joke is, how do you know if someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. It's like always been my experience that as soon as you're outed as a vegan, it's just like them constantly peppering you with all, it's like, it's never been my experience where I'm like, let me tell you about my vegan lifestyle.
I hope you say it just like that. Like, I really do. Like, when anybody asks you need to respond in that voice.
About my activism day and night. Even when I lived outreach, I was not that vegan.
Yes.
I remembered.
Yay.
Yes, Kimberly.
It's the comment. I love the comment, you don't know what you're missing.
We're not missing. Thank you.
Because I went vegetarian at 20, so I had 20 years. I know.
Well, and plus
I'm not missing.
You literally know because you've done the research. I hate that expression now because of the anti-vaxxers, but you have done the actual research to understand the animal agribusiness is that these animals supply. So you do know what you're missing. And what you're missing is torture and misery and just absolute violence. Yeah.
Well, I'm missing illnesses. All the conditions I had, should I miss them? No, absolutely not. I am enjoying the health that I didn't think I could have. And also I feel like I have won being vegan, and people who have not followed it, I think if I look at their health and compare it with my health and my stamina, and I think I have won this. So I don't feel like I need to prove anything anymore to anyone.
Right. You don't. And
I don't.
Just thriving in the world is
just thriving. It's the best thing.
Is the best thing.
I mean, would you say to a gay person, you don't know what you're missing out on because you're like with the same sex? I mean, would you ever utter those words to another human being, like a lesbian or a gay man, and be like, "Yo,"
right? Or would you say that to a diabetic about sugar?
Right.
Hey, you don't know what you're missing with this candy bar. You know what I mean?
Or Or if someone quit smoking, would you say it? Like, you don't know what you're missing.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the alcoholic. We can go on forever. Alcoholic.
Yes.
He wants this margarita. But you know what
Yeah.
you're missing? Yeah, I'm missing like destroying my life. That's what I'm
Yeah.
missing. Right?
Exactly.
Thank you very much, and thanks for being an asshole and pointing it out. So
Yeah.
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 It just-
And I
it
love
just
how
has
they
to go
always
back
seem to point out steak too. That always seems
Yeah.
to be a go-to. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean you don't eat any steak?
Yeah.
How do you live your life without having steak? You know, and I'm like, well, I'm doing okay so far, and it's been 34 years.
Yeah.
So
I get out of bed. I take a shower.
yeah,
So
yeah, and I
life
dream
goes
about
on.
lentils.
I do. I know. I make things out of lentils. Like
Yeah.
I do want to just point out really briefly that there are times where something awkward comes up. Like I think there was somebody earlier talking about where somebody gives you something and didn't realize that you were vegan. And so like what do you do in that situation? You know? And we had something happen years ago where a friend of ours who is vegan, hardcore, was at our house, and we had just moved into the house, and he was helping us, you know, paint or something. And some neighbors came by with a housewarming gift of like, I don't know, a box of things and like foodstuffs. And I was mortified because I was in another room, but I could, you know, hear this was happening. But he just said, no, they're vegan. They won't take this. And he just handed it back to them. And this was like, I want to say like 10 or 12 years ago. So it was quite a while ago. And so even the concept of veganism was still so new to a lot of people. And I never, you know, and they kind of walked away like kind of in their body language, at least to me, seemed confused and kind of like, I don't know what just happened. If I were in that position and I had intervened or intercepted them, I think I would have, you know, tried to be gracious and thank them and taken the box and donated it to, you know, like a homeless shelter or something like that. And eventually let the conversation of our veganism come up. But to turn people away who are trying to be generous at the door, it just, they never work on
they'll never come again. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's okay to tell people that you don't like something. I'm sorry, but I won't eat this. So I'd rather not have it go to waste. I really appreciate your generosity, but it's just not something that I eat. So I'd rather, since you brought it, you probably would eat it, or you're just getting rid of it because you don't like it, because that's sometimes what gifts are. But you know, it's okay to say that. I say it all the time now. Like, I don't want this piece of paper. I don't want to have to recycle it. So if I want the information, I'll go find it.
Oh yeah,
There's
I definitely
all these
do
things
that.
you can do.
Yeah.
So all these things you can do. Right now, my main thing is I don't want to shake hands with anyone anymore. So I want to normalize not shaking hands. So people put their hand out. I was like, nope, I'm not. And Stephen hates it. I'm not shaking your hand because you know what? We shouldn't be shaking hands.
Yeah.
So
like let that tradition go away.
Right. And it's very uncomfortable.
I
It's
see
very uncomfortable to people that are receiving it, because I'm just like, look, I don't want viruses. I don't want the flu. I don't want colds. I don't want to touch your hand. So, and I'm good. So it's okay to communicate and say things, but not like,
absolutely,
not slam the door on people's in people's faces, figuratively, but to just, it's okay to delay. If I don't want it to go to waste, then yeah, you could take it and you can donate it, but then they might ask you what you thought of it, and then you have a whole bunch of other conversations or lies you have to carry forward with, when you can just right there be like, thank you so much.
Right. I mean, I think there are times where something unexpected happens and you have to kind of be spontaneous, and they were trying to act in a generous way. Yeah, I mean, maybe I could have said that, but I also felt like I'm unpacking. We've got paint and painters all over, you know, so I was like, that was the easiest thing for me to do. Anyway, Sangeeta had her hand up.
Yeah, I had something similar happen to me. So my boss, my ex-boss at this point, he knew I was vegan and quite was cooperative, respectful of that. And one time he had to send me a care package, and I don't know if he got someone else to order, but there were a lot of, like, you know, it was like a refrigerated, they had a lot of fresh fruit, but and some wine, but there was also like a lot of things that were not vegan, like cheese and salmon and things like that. So I just thanked him. I didn't mention anything about things not being vegan, and I went next door and I asked my neighbor if she would enjoy these things. She said yes, and I just gave it to her.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes not everything has to be a teachable moment. Not everything.
Right. Not every moment is like a fight or flight.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes you just gotta make it easy on yourself. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, teachable moments where you can. But I think sometimes it's just like, I just want this situation to end. So.
And all of us are content creators, so I think that helps a lot, because years ago when I became vegan, I wrote a blog in my native Marathi language about veganism, and I wrote all the points about, like, what an Indian person might be thinking about when they come across the vegan argument. I wrote all of that. And then it is so helpful for me. Like, I don't have to personally engage with all these arguments going back and forth.
Right.
Whenever I see like somebody posting about it, my friends posting about it, I just gently say, hey, whenever you get a chance, just check this out. And a lot of times I see, like, many months later they will contact me and they'll say, I've been thinking about it. So I think that indirect way is more effective than engaging on a personal basis.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it kind of puts the ball in their court.
Right.
Educating, you give them the resources, then it's up to them to, engage with it,
Yeah. And like Laura said, she would send the recipes, and exactly is the way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that everyone's got their own style, and I personally am not a fan of, like, when people say you shouldn't do your activism this way, you should do it that way, because everyone is reached in different ways. Everyone has different styles that they connect with and are repelled by. So I think what the best thing you can do is to, one, use common sense about how people like to be talked to. And number two, be your authentic self. Those seem to sort of, and they don't have to negate each other. You can be a blunt person who still has respect for other people.
And that's what kind of drives me nuts about these days, is it's like, not everybody wants to know your opinion. As much as you think that they want to, they really don't want to.
Right.
Well, and did you know that so many things had opinions about that? Before there was the internet, before there was Facebook in particular, message boards and stuff, like, why do you have an opinion about whether I have a 1 wick or a 3 wick candle? Why does it matter? Like, why is this so important for you? You know what I mean? It's just like, I knew that the human species was annoying before social media, but I didn't know quite how it.
It's a whole other level now.
Right, but I think that speaks to what.
Yeah, like JL Fields. Yeah, JL Fields, like, when because she's not no oil. She's like, she's a vegan cookbook author, and she's like the coolest thing, coolest shit. So, but she'll just be like, in her group, she's like very clear that she doesn't want to hear about no oil, no salt, no sugar. She's like, these are my recipes.
Yeah,
these are that's it. Like, don't ask me about making them a different way. If you want a different recipe, you go someplace else.
Right. And I mean, here's the thing. I don't eat gluten. I can't eat gluten. I wish I could. I can't eat it. If I get a recipe that looks interesting and it's got gluten in it, that's on me to convert. Okay. I mean, it's not that nobody owes you anything for holding their hands. Like, you can ask some questions. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are open to, like, what do you think if I added this or took that out?
Right.
I think that that's legitimate, but at a certain point, when people are demanding to be coddled through things, it is annoying. It's
different. It's different to ask the question of like, I can't eat gluten. Is there a way to make this? But and then to say, why are you making this with oil?
Right.
You know, it's different because
Well-
you're basically coming at the person and saying like, why are you doing that? It's like, well, I wouldn't do that. I don't think you need oil in your diet. I think, you know, if you remove the oil, you'd be healthier and you would do this and blah blah
Oh
blah,
my
whatever it
God.
is. Put anything in oil's place.
That
You know
is
what?
such
That's
a
great.
cop.
We don't need to hear it. Like
Yeah.
you don't need to scroll
That
through and make a
that
comment
is
about
what
everything.
falls, that is totally what falls into my personal way of living category. Not this is my, you know, this is part of my platform and I'm going to demand that you, I don't care. Why would I care if somebody eats oil? Why would I care if somebody eats sugar? Why would I care?
Right.
You know, I
Right.
don't care. But yeah, there was somebody who was asking, I came out with a cookbook recently, which was Trader Joe. It's taking Trader Joe's products and fresh foods and incorporating them together to make, you know, kind of the best of both worlds, convenience plus fresh foods. But somebody was asking, does it have a lot of processed ingredients? And it's like, I don't know. What do you call it? You know,
Read it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
well, when Marla does a post, just, you know, when Marla does a post about something, she puts all these caveats.
Okay.
I can't tell you about the ingredients. I don't know about the oil. I don't know about the calories. I don't know. You know what? If you're interested in this, you can go look it up yourself. I'm just giving you my opinion on it. That's
Yes.
it. And you don't get
I'm
to
not
question
even
my
giving
opinion.
an opinion. I'm just stating a fact. This product exists in the world. Eat it, don't eat it. I don't care.
Yes.
But don't start peppering me with questions about whether it's GMO or whatever. You know, it's just
Right. It's called reading.
right. And I feel like sometimes it's people just trying to play gotcha.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right,
well,
right.
you must be a less healthy person than me. Let me point out that I don't eat oil. You know, like I give a shit.
Those are leather shoes you're wearing. I know it. I know those are leather shoes you're wearing. Kimberly, go ahead.
That's a little more relevant.
My favorite is when someone posts like a new product, like new vegan chocolate chip cookies, let's say, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, have you guys had these? They're so good." And like 6 people are like, "Those aren't healthy." It's like, that's not what we asked. We're talking about how good they are.
Yes. Exactly.
First of all, did I say they were healthy?
Right.
Second of all, one person's healthy. If you're going from an omnivorous diet to a vegan diet, that's going to feel, you're going to be proud of that choice. So F off with this idea that that's not healthy. And then third of all, screw you. And then fourth of all, I remember a time when all we got was like flax mixed with raisins for our dessert, you know? And you know what?
And oatmeal.
the vegan product, the vegan numbers weren't shifting at all. It was only when things started tasting more like what people are familiar with, the veggie burgers that tasted more like regular hamburgers, or sausages that tasted more like, meat-based sausages, that things started to shift. But for whatever reason, there are people who really get bent out of shape about it. I don't see how it's anyone's business. If it's your food, your stomach, and it doesn't harm anyone, it's totally your business. So
right.
Anyway,
no
I think
body shaming.
For an hour here.
Yeah.
But I do want to say thank you to all of my co-hosts. It was a fabulous conversation. Thank you to everyone who's been here with us and conversing in the sidebar. Jay gets the MVP, but you're all MVPs in our heart. Before I close, I'll just say that next week we are going to have another vegan stew, and this is going to be about vegan parenting. And I'm going to be doing that with Sangeeta. We're the vegan parents on this panel. And anyway, I'd like to thank again our sponsor, TerraSeed. And again, check us out on theveganstew.com to find all of our different platforms. And again, thank you all so much for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
And we say goodbye to you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Okay, everyone. Thanks again. And we will see you next week for vegan parenting. Bye.